with Marie. I have a special guest tonight, but first I just want to remind everyone, if you are looking for me, I am on Instagram under Soultooth Marie and also on YouTube, as well as my website, which is AntoinetteMarie.net. So if you would like a reading with me for intuitive and mediumship, you can find me there. And I also do tarot readings now as well. So, but enough about that. So I wanted to introduce my special friend, which is Michelle. I'm going to mess up your last name. Franzoni? I'm Italian. Yes. I can't even say it.
Franzoni.
So, there we go. So I met her a couple of years, probably about 5 or 6 years ago now.
Yeah, 5 now. Yes. I'll never forget that day, how it happened, all of that, which it's very magical.
It is. We were both going through, I think we both were. I was going through a spiritual awakening because of a twin flame. And I think you were going through the same thing. And we miraculously found each other on Facebook or Instagram somewhere.
Yeah, it was like a soulful sister group. And I saw your post and I was like, I knew, anyway, I had to reach out to you, and I reached out to you with what I did. And you were like, how did you know? And then it just sparked this whole journey with you where you're the only person that I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And you were like the savior of all of it. You know, it was incredible. So I don't know how deep we want to go into that, but it was magical.
So let me ask you, since we're going to be, that's what we're talking about tonight, folks. We are going to be talking about the twin flame journey. I know I've touched on it before with someone who had written a book and even my own journey. But tonight we're going to talk to Michelle because hers is unique, I find. And a lot of people that go through the journey, they also find they have this creative outlet once they awaken. And I find that fascinating. I know I started writing. I was writing before, but now I'm really writing. And I know you started painting once you had your awakening and you met your twin flame. So tell me, how did it begin? What happened?
I mean, I think I don't know. I was in a very, very dark place in my life. I was running hotels. I had this, I was a general manager. I had this whole facade going on, but, I reached out I knew I had to meet this guy. I like to bring up the fact that, I met him then, which is I went to school with this guy my whole life. We were in the same grade. We were in the same, we're actually 2 days apart, which isn't super relevant, but it's we were always right there my whole life. And I just knew he posted something and I was like, I have to reach out to this guy. I'm bored tonight. Let me go see what's going on. And I met him and, mind you, I was like, love sucks, anti-men, the whole whatever, I don't even care. Well, my earbuds coming out. And I met him with this attitude of whatever. And suddenly he starts talking and I recognize his voice. It's a whole recognition. I looked into his eyes I never talked to this guy, even though we were in the same school in the same grade and everything, no classes together. And I went into another place and recognized his voice. And I was like, I've known this guy forever, and then was freaked out, but it sparked an energy in me. I had all of this energy and knew, my higher self kicked in. It started talking to me. And I was like, it was you have to paint, go paint. And I went to my mother's and I started painting, and it turned into this whole career.
Well, let me ask you about that with the painting. So you didn't paint before, correct?
No. And my grandfather did it as a hobby. So it was kind of always there. And one of the things about this is that there's such disbelief when you meet these type of soul encounters, I like to call it. Oh, you're crazy. That's just, it's just a guy, it's whatever. But the largest significant part to this is the last time I had ever touched paint was when I was 7 years old. And my grandfather, who has the same name, he's French and his middle name means love. So it's like my twin flame's name, and love is the middle name. But he had asked me, oh, pick an object. And we had a hotel then. And he said, pick an object. And I was like, oh, I want you to paint the swan. So he painted the swan, and it's like, that was my biggest synchronicity for all of this. Like, I had not touched a paintbrush since I was 7 with my grandfather, who has the same name as my twin. And here it sparks this whole remembrance maybe of painting in another life, or I'm not sure, maybe the healing of the painting, whatever the reason. No, never touched a paintbrush.
What's interesting, people that are on the twin flame journey and people that aren't, they don't know that the people that aren't don't know about the swan. So the swan is representative of a twin flame union or meeting your twin flame, which I find interesting that that's what you painted.
I know. It's like kind of unbelievable. It's like it's a surefire way to not disbelieve what's going on, because I've tried.
And then you started painting every single day. How many paintings did you do?
I mean, so many. And honestly, like 5 years that I started, I've sold almost 40, which is like manifestation, a lot of factors come in. But the really, really beautiful part about me not painting before was like when I stopped painting, my parents divorced. I was going through a lot of trauma at the time and moved to Ocean City, which is where he was. And we had never met, but there was a lot of trauma going on, and I just stopped it. And through this, journey of healing that this brings you to, suddenly my sister randomly sent me a text message, and she found like an art award I had done when I was like 6 years old or 7 years old, and she was like, oh, and it was like outstanding artist. So it's like I blocked so many things, that I loved. And then when I met him, it was like, it brought me right to, who I'm supposed to be, my journey, where I'm supposed to be at, and I think like,
and what is that journey? What was the journey for you?
I mean, for me, it's painting, it's, art. Like, that's who I'm supposed to be. I was supposed to be an artist. I was supposed to, it's all about me, not about him, not about being with him, not about what most people think this is about, and that's the most beautiful thing in the world, remembering who you are. There's so many like interesting facets to it too. Like, I remembered past lives suddenly. I had dreams with your twin, and, went into shaman circles, and, I still haven't showed you, but I was presented with like, tobacco is supposed to be a healer, and recipes of like healing. And I mean, it's really insanely deep and spiritual, but it's very hard to focus on, when you're conditioned with the way we're conditioned, we're only successful, or like the epitome is to be with somebody else, when really it's like, it's to find ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, it took me down this whole thing, but my higher self kicked in. I was hiking 10 miles a day with no problem. The energy is like incredible.
And that that happened after you met your twin flame, correct? So after you met your twin.
Instantly when I met, like the night I met him, it didn't happen immediately. You know, we talked and we talked and we talked, and it gradually kept increasing. The biggest part for me with him was like my disbelief of like, okay, this guy is saying things that I would say, stop. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not into this. This is not what I was expecting to meet or whatever, you know? And it was like, and the energy was like, you know, nobody else was there. That's it, you know? So I think it built up a little bit. And I think it's probably because, you know, you can't handle all of that. Like the Kundalini rising is like, it's so intense. Some people like it's deep, and it's, the trauma is brought up to be healed. So it, you know, gradually it happened like that. Like maybe 2 months after I started hiking 10 miles a day, and I had, you know, like for instance, I discovered a new way of painting. You know, I had accidentally dropped what I thought I accidentally dropped, a black blob of paint on a canvas. And then my higher self was like, well, just paint over it. And that's when I did that tree, which if you really look at that tree, there's sacred geometry in that tree. Yes. There's, you know, France, you know, the fleur de lis in that tree. There's the wolf and the moon in that tree. There's a lot of symbology that is, things were just coming to me constantly. And that's part of it. When you research people who have experienced this, they write books, they, you know, develop movies, they, you know, do what you're doing. Like we all get this purpose and we just are fueled by it, and you can't stop.
It's true. I personally can't stop. It's been 5-6 years, and I believe I'm just getting started. Like I haven't even cracked open the egg yet. That was just beginning, and now it's like, where is this taking me?
Yeah, and I know because of our text, and you know, you're just like, when you're fired up, and like, no pun intended, but literally, like, you just can't stop. And there's, it's awesome, but I see it like in my research, I see a lot of people that, you know, think that this is what's happening in their lives. And it's really sad to me sometimes, because, you know, they get stuck. They get stuck on, it's about being with them. And it's like really not at all. And no, unless you concentrate on that, that's it.
Most of the time you don't even end up with your twin. Right. You do telepathically. Right. And you do sometimes to, I don't know, do your mission, you could say. But then after that, you part ways.
Right. Yeah. And I think that is beautiful. I think it's very limiting to think that there's one person in the world you're supposed to be with, and that's it, and that's your whole entire mission. You know, there's so much love out there that's like, you know, and that's the other part. Like, it brought me to so many connections with people that it is incredible. You, my friend Gary, that I'm like, you know, best friends, and people can't understand how a girl and a guy can be that, you know, compatible, but not want to be with them. But I'm like, that's what love is. It's free.
It is. Absolutely. So we only have a minute left. So I want everyone to be able to find you so they can see your paintings. I know that you're on my website, but where are you on Instagram?
At Michelle_Franzoni. So MICHELLE_FRANZONI.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And I will have her on my Instagram as well. So if you can't find that, can't spell it, whatever, because I know I can't spell it. You can find it.
It's very long.
Yes, yes. So you can find it on my website as well and on my Instagram. But her paintings are amazing. She has all kinds. People. She did like water for me. It's just beautiful what she does.
Oh
so
God, I can't wait to see that painting again too. Yeah. All right. Love you.